welcome back to the Peculiar Place podcast.
This is the segment 2 Vees in a Pod, and we're your hostesses, Mandii
and Jessii. Welcome back. I am so happy that we're doing another week of this. We're back on track.
I know.
We're doing our thing in the studio.
I know. I'm pretty sure that this is going to come out on my birthday.
It will, on Thursday, the 16th.
And I just want to say, guys, I'm having a not-so-good hair day. I washed it yesterday, and I just did not have the energy to style it.
You always look good. Everyone always compliments your hair. I saw a comment that got so many upvotes last time asking what your hair color is because they want to do it. Do you know the name of it? Is there a name, or is it just like a tone?
It's just copper. I usually do like a level 7 copper, just like a natural copper. Sometimes I boost it. I use Wella, if that helps. Professional dye, so it's kind of hard to get it if you're not a professional.
If you tell your hairstylist, I'm sure they'll know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a level 7 C copper.
It always looks good.
Thank you.
Don't even worry about it.
Thank you.
So we do have a slightly startling update that I think we will begin with, which is, and guys, it is November, which at least here in Ontario, it's cold, there's frost, things are freezing over, bugs should be almost gone. But we found out that our father the other day, actually, let me start from the beginning, because he called me at 7 in the morning. I was still sleeping. And when Dad calls me early, I worry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they are early risers, but they know I'm not. So if they're calling me early, something's wrong. So I answer the phone. It's my dad. He's panicked. He's worried. He's like, Jess, you won't believe what I just found this morning. And I was like, what? And he was like, I woke up and I saw this thing in my thigh or his waist or something. And he thought maybe it was a pimple or a bite or when blood dries and it can kind of be like a bump on your skin. Mm-hmm. So he starts picking it. It's not coming off, goes to the washroom, looks closely, realizes there's a tick embedded in his skin. And so he removes it. And guys, there is a correct way to do it and a wrong way to do it. If you ever find a tick embedded in your skin, never squeeze the body or try to pull it out by the body, because you will be pushing everything, all of the bacteria, all of the infection will go right into your body. He did it the right way, which you have to remove it by the head first. Usually you can do this with tweezers. I believe you can use peppermint oil to help it kind of jump out of your skin. There's tick removing kits you can get. The reason why this was so upsetting is because my journey with Lyme disease was years long before we could even find any treatment. So when he found this, he was so worried and called me and asked what to do. Mm-hmm. What you should be doing right away is going to your doctor. So he went to a walk-in clinic. And I'm actually so surprised by how well it went for him, because back in 2017, if you say, hey, I was bitten by a tick, they usually say it's fine. A lot of ticks don't have Lyme disease. You'll be okay. I don't see a bullseye around there. You'll be fine. He went, and right away, they gave him 21 days of doxycycline, which is the antibiotic you go on right away. And so he had a really good experience. He was able to send the tick off. He kept the tick, which you should if you see it or still have it, put it in a bag, and he was able to send it out to a lab where they're going to test it for different strains. Mm-hmm. And if you guys are ever wondering where to send it out, we are partnered with a Lyme disease foundation called the G. Magnata Foundation. And I'm going to put all the information in the description, but you can actually mail it out to them and they will test it, which
awesome.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a good experience. We don't know if the tick is positive yet, so we'll keep you guys posted, but he's on the right track. It was just a scary experience.
Doing all the right things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bittersweet, but because of you, we have those connections, and we know what to do.
I was the trial patient.
Yeah, unfortunately, but also fortunately, we have now all these connections, so we know exactly what to do if that happens. And I'm happy to see that. Somewhat, I guess, that our healthcare system now is starting to realize that I guess this is a more serious thing, and it's not just I don't know what they were thinking before. They weren't very educated on it.
Yeah.
But, how many years has it been for you? It's been 8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would hope that there's
improvement in that time.
Yeah.
I do know they were working on a vaccine that's preventative So if you have Lyme disease, it's not going to cure
anything, yeah.
But I know people feel different ways about vaccines, which is fine. But I think it's good they're working on things at least.
Yeah, like they're working towards, I mean, it's just acknowledging that it exists is
a step.
Already far from where we were at the start, so.
Exactly. And there are doctors, like in Toronto for us, who specifically work with other doctors in the States to send out blood panels and stuff. So Dad's probably going to do that as well. Just be proactive about it, you know? Even if you think it doesn't have any bacteria, it might. You don't know. We're not psychic, right? You don't know if a tick does or doesn't. I know a lot of people say, like, oh, if it's this specific tick, it won't. You don't know that. You do not know that.
Also, it might not even show up until years later in your life, right?
Yep, exactly.
Like, you might think you're fine, but you're not fine.
Yeah, like my husband, Ty, he has Lyme disease, and he thinks he got it when he was a kid, going up to his cottages all the time, but he doesn't remember being bitten by a tick.
Yeah.
But when he was tested, he had a bunch of different co-infections and different Lyme strains. So
it's crazy.
It is crazy, and it just shows you that even in November, here in Canada, there's still ticks out there. Check your dogs, check your clothes, protect yourself. That's our update. We'll let you.
That just made me think of like all of a sudden, I didn't like even think of it before, but now I'm thinking of like when you have a kid and they crawl and they're like in the grass and they play and all that. Like, I didn't even, now I'm thinking about it and it's making me nervous because it's like that's what kids do.
I know.
They like roll around in the grass and
you want them to live their life and have fun and be in nature, and like, of course you want that for them, but you have to just put them in long pants and just make sure they're safe. Like, I see influencers I follow all the time, like having their kids run through like jungle-sized grass in like shorts and like their legs are out, and I'm like, oh, I want to protect them, but like I don't want to be crazy and like message them.
That just like unlocked something in me now, where I didn't even think about that before. Now I'm gonna think about it, especially because we love to camp. We camp.
I know. Just be careful.
Yeah.
And there's like different like tick sprays,
socks
and stuff.
over pants, the shoes that have the high, I don't know what they're called, but
light clothing, because you'll see. If
right. You'll see. Yeah. Okay.
So be careful out there, guys.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So another thing we wanted to mention, okay, just a disclaimer, this is just our opinion, but I feel like it should be everyone's opinion. It is okay to put Christmas up early. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. If it brings you happiness and peace and joy, I want it to be Christmas all year round, okay? I put my tree up on Halloween, and I was struggling with sickness, and I'm like, you know what would make me happy? Christmas lights, Christmas trees. It is such an innocent, happy thing to do, and it's so personal, and it's okay.
Life is so hard.
And so short.
Life is so hard and so short, and if that's what makes people happy, like, don't be a hater.
Yeah.
Just don't be a hater. I don't understand what like people like gain from like speaking out against people putting up Christmas. Like, I don't care if you put up Christmas in the summertime. Yeah. If that makes you happy, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what like illnesses people have, depression, all of that stuff. If putting up Christmas makes you happy, it's your favorite time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year, guys. Like,
why not start it early as possible?
Seriously. And like my mindset also is that it takes so much work to put it up. I cannot understand people that put it up like the week before Christmas or like December. I feel like if anything, I've always done it like around my birthday, which is like now. But this year I felt so like towards the end of Halloween, I was like, I'm ready for Christmas. I'm ready. I don't know if it's because I'm hormonal or what it is, but it's also that I wanted to put it up while I had the energy to put it up. Like, I want to enjoy it. When I become huge, I'm not going to want to put up Christmas. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to take it down, girl.
Yeah.
Like,
everyone has their different reasonings. And if you think it's weird, then internally think it's weird, but like, why message them? Why put out like messages to the world to say, don't do this? It's very judgmental. And it's just like, let people be happy. Come on.
But also to claim like that you are being disrespectful for Canadians, like we have like Remembrance Day that just passed. There is like a mindset, I guess, with certain people that if you put up Christmas before Remembrance Day, you're being incredibly disrespectful, and I just can't get on board with that because I don't think that the two cancel each other out. Actually, I think it's worse to like be like, okay, it's the 12th, let's put up Christmas, like Remembrance Day's over with, we can start on Christmas now, and like anticipate that instead of just putting it up when you want and actually like feeling present on Remembrance Day and not having Christmas in the back of your head like you want to put it up right away afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, me having my tree up is not going to hinder my ability to remember and to be respectful. It's just a tree. It's decor. What happens if you have your birthday right before Remembrance Day? You can't celebrate that? I mean, it's all about mindset, right? Yeah, if you personally feel like Christmas is going to distract you, then fine. That's your personal thing. But if you feel like it's not going to and you can have two things at once, do it.
Yeah.
It's all a personal thing, and to like put it out there that you can't do it just seems silly to me. Like, even us saying this, we're not saying like put up Christmas early.
No.
We're
do
saying
what you want.
Exactly.
Do whatever is going to make you happy, and also be present on Remembrance Day, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a really good point, that if it is going to distract you, then
don't do it.
Then wait.
Yeah.
But if not, then you can do it and feel good about it, and you shouldn't have people hating on you for it.
Totally agree.
There's so many things in life that you should put your energy into, and that's not one of them. Being mad at somebody for putting up a tree.
Little Christmas lights. Like, come on. People have fairy lights all year round in their room.
That is like the sweetest, most purest thing ever, is people wanting to put up Christmas, and you're going to hate on them for that.
I know.
And like project this idea of like it being disrespectful. Like,
I get so many angry DMs when I show my Christmas tree on like Halloween or like November 1st. People are like, wow. And the main thing they say is, it's not even Thanksgiving. Guys, remember, we are Canadian, okay? We had Thanksgiving beginning of October. So this is our next holiday is Christmas. So we're ready to move on, right? Yeah. So maybe for you guys, like in the States or whatever, like maybe you want to be Thanksgiving next. Fine, good, great.
Extend fall.
Yeah, I love that for you.
I can get that.
I love that for you.
I understand that.
But us Canadians, like, we have nothing in the middle. Like, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what I've also noticed is that it's actually not a big sum of people that are haters anymore. Like, I feel like it's such a meme right now to like be ready for Christmas and put up Christmas. Like, I actually haven't really heard or experienced any person, any friend in my life, because they're all sort of on board with the Christmas thing. Or if they're not for themselves, then they're like laughing at me for doing it, and it's like a playful, like funny thing.
It's not serious.
No, like, people need to chill.
I almost feel like the people who are really serious about it maybe grew up in a household where they weren't allowed to put up Christmas early, and maybe that's just carried on in your life.
Yeah.
And now you think that you have to be that way, but you don't. Especially when you're an adult, like, you can make your own decisions.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in your parents' house, okay, you have to follow their rules, and that sucks. But when you're an adult and you have your own house and your own space or your own room in your college, do what you want to do. You don't have to follow your family's traditions.
Yeah.
You know?
And then also project that onto other people like they're doing something wrong.
I know. We're making this so serious, but like the amount, you guys should see my DMs. It's crazy. So I just feel like I had to make this disclaimer.
Nobody should ever have to justify wanting to put up Christmas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry you're a Scrooge. I'm sorry you don't want to put up Christmas. Like, I'm sorry if you're mad about that internally and you're projecting this, like, anger.
Yeah.
But, like, there's other things to be offended over. Like, there are other things to be mad about. And not people putting up Christmas.
I know. My tree's not going to harm you, I promise. You're okay. You're safe.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad we said that. Get it off our chest.
Now we're okay. We feel better now. Because we've been talking about it together. And we're just passionate
We've been talking about it since the last podcast. And I wish we said it then. But
me too. Anyway. So this is a totally like new topic that I'm going to have to dance around a little bit because of YouTube guidelines. But I'm on Goodreads all the time, okay? Constantly. I read books a million times a week. And so sometimes, like, I get recommended strange things because I follow a ton of people. Like, I'm connected with, I think, over 3,000 people on there. And people are going to read things that maybe I don't normally read. So things pop up on my timeline there all the time. By the way, Goodreads is like an app where you can go and, like, rate books. that you've
best.
read.
It's the best.
I love Goodreads. It does need to be updated. The app looks like it's from the 80s.
It does.
It really needs to be updated.
It really does.
But I have like a little album on my phone of books that actually exist. And disclaimer, it's in the erotic genre, okay? And I know people have different things they like to read, and like, good for you. Like Christmas. If it makes you happy, keep doing it. I'm not trying to do this to hate, but it is something that does shock me.
It's an escape.
I'm sure it's an escape for some people.
I know a lot of people that are into that.
Right, but these are like
Extreme,
and they're very, very specific.
Okay.
So I'm just pulling out my phone, and there are probably 2 or 3 that we can show on the screen, but other ones Mandi's just gonna look at.
And just to clarify, this isn't like smutty books, right? This is on another level of extremity. Like, it's not like Silver Flames.
No. It's not.
I just wanted to disclaim that because
this is all like
on another level.
Yeah. Content that not safe for work in an extreme way. Okay, so this first one, I think it's fine to say. It's called Ravaged by the Gingerbread Man. Guys, these are real books that have thousands of reviews of people honestly rating it, okay?
I'm curious of how it's written. If it's
You're
like
curious?
Good. I am.
It must be good if people are reading it. I don't know.
Wait, this is something that we should totally do, is go to the bookstore and go into that section
and like see if they're good. Okay, I can't say this one probably. Yeah, it's
Wait, is it the same author?
No, these are all different. Well, some of them are the same, but there's a lot of different ones. This is about like a one about.
This can't be this is not serious. This is a comedy.
It is not. So I looked through the reviews, and people are saying honestly, like what they thought about it, like being critical. It's like, come on,
groceries.
It's about groceries. We're not good. That's all you need to know. It's about produce. There's also one about garden gnomes, which I can't say the title for. This one I'll say, The Centaur's Hands. But look at the picture. Everyone has different things they like, but it's very strange. Seduced by the Pumpkin Spice Latte.
Me.
That's you?
Me. I'll read that book. I would read that book.
I don't know what they're doing with the lattes, but it sounds like it's painful.
I'm definitely seduced by pumpkin spice.
Because you get those steaming hot, so I don't know what's going on there, but...
It's got the cinnamon and the whipped cream.
This one is Unhinged, an erotic door romance.
Oh, that's punny. That's funny.
She's having relations with her door.
Okay.
I cannot say this one, but it's to do with a turkey. It's a Thanksgiving one.
What does it say? Where turkey?
Yes. I guess it's like a turkey that turns into a man, or a turkey.
Like a werewolf.
Like a werewolf, but it's a turkey.
Ew.
Yeah. And lastly, Claimed by a Coffee Mug.
Like, my question is, are they actually the inanimate object, or is it like supposed to be metaphorical?
So sometimes they transform into a man, which I feel like is 50% of them. So they just go from inanimate to a man, or they're using that item.
Have you seen that Demi Lovato video where it's like, "What's your favorite dish?" And she's
I know.
She's like, a mug, because it's warm and it's cozy and it holds hot things.
That would be me in an interview, though. Like,
honestly, when I watched that video and then her response was the mug, I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're talking about.
I did too the first time.
Yeah, I wasn't like, oh, they were asking what dish, but then I realized, like, oh, they meant food.
But who says dish nowadays? What are we, from the 1800s? Like, what's your favorite meal? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite dish? I would probably.
And she did answer correctly.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, she did.
It's dishware.
But I would be so embarrassed. I can't even think about it, because that would be me.
It holds hot things that I can't touch.
I know.
I'm like, honestly, yeah, mugs are great.
I have so many mugs. I have a whole collection.
I know.
I have too many mugs, so like, I get it, girl. Okay, so now we're gonna get into some things that I've been seeing on TikTok, some TikTok trends. The first thing, and I feel like this was going around last year, people are saying that you're either a rat or a frog. Like, if you look at anyone's face, you can say they're either a rat or a frog.
Oh my
We're
God.
frogs.
We are frogs.
We're frogs for sure.
And Ty's a rat. And Luca's a rat.
I didn't even think about Ty. Yeah, I think Ty's rat. I think Luca's rat too.
And Luca is a rat.
And I feel like mom and dad are rats.
Mom's definitely a rat.
They're gonna listen to this and be like, excuse me, but we're frogs, okay, Mom and Dad?
I don't know what Dad is. Mom is a rat. It's all about the face, shape and nose.
They're coming over today, so I'll see if Dad's a frog. This sounds so weird.
He's got one of those faces. I don't know.
Because he has kind of a nose like us. And I feel like, but it's our cheeks and
out.
stuff that makes us frogs. Like, we have a wide face.
This is crazy.
But, like, people are doing it where they, like, will look at different, like, photos of celebrities.
Wait, Ty might be a frog.
It sounds so bad.
He's a cross breed.
Comment what you guys think you are.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't remember.
Cut you off. Oh, celebrities.
Yeah, people were, like, looking at celebrities and, like, trying to figure out, like, what they are. Like, who's your celebrity crush?
My all-time celebrity crush is Milo Ventimiglia.
Okay, so is he a rat or a frog?
Let me think.
I think he's a rat. Honestly, like, I feel like his face is very, like...
Yeah, a rat.
Yeah. And, like, mine is Vince Vaughn.
Oh, my God.
I think he's a frog.
Hybrid.
I feel like he has a wide, like, cheeky face.
But he also has, like, that pointy nose. Like, he could be...
He's a hybrid. He's both. He could be either. Also, when I say Vince Vaughn, I mean, like, Vince Vaughn from, like, early 2000s. I don't know how he's doing now. I don't know if he's aging gracefully or not.
You have interesting love interests.
I love a good dad bod, which is weird if Dad's
Me
listening.
too.
I don't mean, like, there's a certain way about it.
I completely
you know what I mean?
understand. You don't even have to explain that to me because I get it.
There's, like, a thickness to it.
It's not like, so, like, most women, I find, are into, like, Channing Tatum guys.
And I'm not.
Oh, no.
If you're fit, forget about it.
Okay, my first crush in life growing up was Liam Neeson because of Star Wars. And as he could, I know you can't relate. Most people can't. But I love him. He is daddy. I think that he is aging very gracefully. Oh, and another very important mention is Robert De Niro. I
Mandii.
love Robert De Niro.
No.
I cannot get enough of Robert.
Isn't he, like, 80 having children still?
Oh, yeah.
Is he okay?
Oh, he's more than okay.
Clearly.
He's popping out kids.
Oh, my goodness.
He is still chugging along there.
Is he marrying young people? Is that why?
I'm actually not entirely sure. But the youngest I say is probably Ryan Gosling that I'm into. But
I've never been a Ryan Gosling girl.
I think the only reason why I like him, though, is the characters he plays. Because of The Notebook and Blue Valentine, I feel like his characters are very, like... They're always kind of similar.
Yeah.
And I think it's the characters that I like, but wow, that's so interesting. Frog or rat?
You know who's my, like, recent, like, crush? You know Hopper from Stranger Things?
Hopper. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that. Like daddies.
It's the dad bod thing. it's amazing.
Yeah, because they're like teddy bears.
And a good beard is, like...
A good beard,
A good beard is what you need. For sure.
It's like comforting.
I'm rewatching Stranger Things, and whenever Hopper comes on the screen, I'm like...
And it's also the, like... the disposition. Like, the dad disposition.
But they're a little tired.
They're a little fed up.
Yeah.
They show up, though.
Yeah,
when they need to.
And they're cuddly.
They will, like, save your life.
Yeah. In a squishy way.
Yeah.
I love it.
In all the squishy ways. You know what? I am proud of our celebrity crushes. I feel like they're so not basic.
They're so unique. Like, you wouldn't expect it. Everyone's so boring with their, like... I
agree.
Oh my gosh, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Channing Tatum, Jason Momoa.
If you have a unique one, please comment it. I love that. Like, I love unique pics.
Well, you also like Peter Dinklage, right?
I love Peter Dinklage. Oh my gosh. But I like him as Tyrion.
I agree.
Like
not like an elf. He's like a business guy.
You're an elf. Say it one more time.
Call me an elf one more time. You're an elf. No, definitely in that, like, grungy medieval aesthetic. I can see it.
But I love intellect. And I feel like he is such a smart, loyal, he knows I love that. Like, I'm attracted to intellectual people. There's actually a name for that when you're attracted to that kind of thing. And I don't remember it. But, like, if you're smart, I'll take that over what you look like. 100%.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. So, like, recently I've started, like, kind of getting, I guess, the hots specifically out of the intelligence. Mm-hmm. Not the not the looks.
Okay.
Jordan Peterson.
Wait, who is that?
He is like, I've sent you so many of his videos. He's old. He has like white hair.
Oh, him. Wait, he's attractive.
The way he speaks is just so smart, and like the words that he's so articulate.
Yeah.
And he's so good at like communicating to people, and he's witty. And he's somewhat like sarcastic too in like what he's trying to say, and it like comes off as like also kind of funny.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
But it's like if he wasn't like that, there was no way I'd be like, "Oh, he's hot."
Right.
It's like the way in which he's able to speak. I mean, he's a professor in a university, so it makes sense. But like,
he's definitely a rat, though.
He is. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's not so obvious, like with Dad.
I feel like the frogs are harder to pick out.
Yeah.
Everyone's a rat. You know
because
what I mean?
it's so. I feel like it's not as common for people to have like a face shape like us, like
high
a frog,
cheekbones and
with like a different kind of a nose that's
flat.
not. Most people have the pointy nose
yeah,
thing.
we're like bulldogs.
Yeah.
In a cute way. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next thing.
Okay, wait.
Which
I think you might have a lipstick on your teeth though.
this whole time.
No, I'm just seeing it now, and it's now it looks worse because you did some. Well, because after you did that,
Oh my god.
it's like at the bottom of your front teeth, like it's hard to tell. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, those just showed up.
Oh my god.
Those ones, I swear to God, just showed up
It's
when
not
you.
coming off. It's not coming off.
We're like, who's a frog and who's a
Girl.
rat?
Girl.
The bottom ones literally just showed up.
Oh my god. Okay. Stop laughing at me. It's everywhere.
Every time I look.
Is it still there? It's not as bad from far away, though.
I think you need to get a napkin. Well, that's the thing. I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Because when you talk, your bottom teeth don't show. Only your top teeth, and they look great. Are you Googling something?
No, I'm texting Ty.
Oh. It would just suck if that happened and you didn't fix it.
Okay, we're going to continue while I have some specks on my teeth. It is lipstick. It's not food. Ty's coming in with a Kleenex. Okay. So the next, like, TikTok trend is the Uncanny Valley trend.
Okay, where is that coming from? Because when the first time I saw it, I was like, is that a show? Is that a movie?
No, it's actually a theory. It's a concept more
Okay.
that was introduced in the 1970s. And so I'm going to read it because I got all kinds of information about it. I've known about it, but I want to give the right definition here. So the hypothesis predicts that any entity appearing almost human will risk eliciting cold, eerie feelings in viewers. So realistic robots or androids that mimic human appearance and movement but aren't completely convincing, often triggering the uncanny valley. So some high-resolution video games or computer-generated images or some films fall into Uncanny Valley. Like one people say is Polar Express is Uncanny Valley because there's something strange about the faces and the way they move.
Yeah. Whenever I see the people doing the makeup and show Uncanny Valley vibes or whatever,
Yeah.
I always think of like mannequin.
Yeah.
I'm always like mannequin.
Some mannequins are so detailed at the mall. And you're like walking by and you're like, that is almost human. Sometimes I get scared because I think I'm like about to bump into like a person.
Ew.
And it's a human. Or it's not a human.
It's a human.
It's a mannequin. But yeah, there's something creepy about like things that aren't alive with hearts and blood.
Or just like things that are like humanoid, but like
Yeah.
not. There's something off about them that's like you're not a human, but you appear to kind of look like one, but you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
like they're imitating real life, which is super creepy. I'm trying to think of other movies that might be like that because I know Polar Express is just a huge one. And we were talking about that last week, how it makes us feel unsettled. That could be why. It could be the Uncanny Valley effect.
Interesting.
It's probably a lot of also like when CGI first started being a thing and it wasn't very good. I'm sure a lot of movies from our childhood would be Uncanny Valley. Even certain shows, like remember that show, was it Angela Anaconda? Do you remember that?
Well, because weren't they're taking faces, like actual faces of people, though?
Yeah, and they just move them around and
Yeah.
it's like almost like stop motion.
I was thinking like iRobot or something like that.
Yeah, anything with robots and stuff. It's just such a creepy trend with the makeup.
I'm surprised no one has. I mean, maybe they have, but I'm surprised you don't have any like creepy mannequin like mall horror books or something.
Oh, I did. It's called Night of the Mannequins. I read it, but I didn't really like it. It was too cheesy. I thought it'd be scary because mannequins are scary, but it just wasn't scary.
Like being trapped in a mall at night.
That's literally what it was.
But it wasn't scary.
Not for me. I thought it was just too crazy.
Okay.
It was too in your face.
Too cheesy.
Okay, Ty has not come to save me.
Well, you don't have it anymore.
Do I not?
But the thing is like when you...
Oh, it's gone.
It's kind of like right at the bottom.
Oh my gosh, there's more.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom.
Remind me to never wear this lip color again.
Something about dark lipstick that always happens. That happens to me.
It gets everywhere. So the main topic of the video, I wanted to be about sleepovers.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for this, and I wanted to ask Mandii this question, is because she's having a baby. And I notice now that things are changing with parents, specifically moms, where they're starting to feel very uncomfortable about sending off their kids to sleepovers at a certain age, I think when they're younger. And I know when we were growing up, sleepovers were very, very common. We were at sleepovers like every single week. Our parents would let us go. And now I notice a trend, like I said, of parents kind of being like, listen, until they're like teenagers, I don't want them at someone else's house where I can't protect them. So I was curious about what you thought about that, being a new mom.
I can totally get on board with that when they are young. Like, I feel like when they're in high school, they're able to communicate better and understand things better in a sense that, like, if something were to happen, they would be able to call me and tell me.
Yeah.
Small children, unless I like know the parents very, very well and almost like a friendship.
Yeah.
And I've been to their home and I know, you know what I mean? Like, then I would feel comfortable enough to do that. Yeah. But if it's like just this random kid at school, they want to have a sleepover, or if it's like a big group, I even feel like a big group is kind of scary too. Because it's like, what if they bully the kid? What if there's a lot of things that have happened at sleepovers with kids, especially girls.
Well, there's also a lot of worry, like, if there's no, like, females that are adults there.
I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
I mean, anything could happen. You're giving your child to, like, this house with, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I have this experience. I think I was in grade 6, and I remember being so mad at Mom. But now that I look back my age now, I completely understand. I had met this recently new friend, and it was a year after knowing her, and she had been to our house a lot for sleepovers and stuff, but I had never been to her house before. Mm-hmm. And I knew she had a very rocky relationship with her parents, and her home life wasn't that great. And I was open to Mom about that. And this one time she was like, why don't you come to my house for a sleepover? And I was like, okay. And like, back then I was very anxious about sleepovers, and I have stories about that in a moment. But I was like, you know, it's fair. I should go to her house because she's been coming here the whole time. So I asked Mom, and Mom was like, well, is her mom going to be home? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure she will. And she's like, can you ask if her mom's going to be home? So I asked my friend, and she was like, oh, yeah, she should be home. Like, she's always here after work, whatever. Mom goes and drops me off, says goodbye, leaves. I walk into the house, and it's just her father there. And he's, like, coming out of his room after a nap, and he barely looks at me. He kind of, like, nods his head, doesn't say hello or anything, just, like, walks into the kitchen or something. Like, he doesn't care that I'm even there. And we're in grade 6, so we're young. So you'd think that he'd be like, hey, how are you? Like, what are you guys up to tonight? Do you need any snacks or help? Like, he just, like, looked at me like I was irritating and, like, went to the kitchen. And it was like Mom had an instinct. She called me. She wasn't even, like, out of the neighborhood yet. She called me, and she was like, is the mom there? And I was like, I don't see her anywhere. And she's like, can you make sure the mom's there? And so I asked my friend, I'm like, is your mom home? And she's like, no. And I'm like, when's she going to be home? I'm not really sure, but it's just my dad and it's fine. And Mom was like, I'm coming back because I don't feel comfortable about that. And like, maybe people would have different ways of thinking about it. It's nothing about dads. There's nothing wrong with dads. I just think that like, when
I'll never leave my child alone with a man at a young age.
Exactly.
I'm fine with saying that.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with saying that. I don't care who they are. And it's not about, like, I think that in any situation there will be any sort of essay involved. Yeah. But, like, if there's something to be said about that maternal...
You want to protect, and I think that's...
But knowing also that, like, a fellow mom, that has their own kid, they understand that, like, maternal,
Yeah.
like, want to, like, take care of a child. So it's just, like, I would not feel comfortable with, like, any man.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I remember being so embarrassed, and I was like, don't come back. Like, it's so embarrassing. Because, like, obviously I was just dropped off.
You don't know
My
better.
friend was excited. And so I had to tell my friend my mom's coming back. She was upset. She wouldn't talk to me for a week. I was crying going out the front door. Like, it was a big thing. And I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
I was like, what does it matter? Like, we're not even going to see the dad. He's going to be watching TV. We're going to be doing something else. And mom was like, no, like, I'm so uncomfortable with that. Because she never even met the father, right? So it's like, we don't even know him.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, at a young age, yeah, that's sort of a non-negotiable for me. But in high school, fine. If I have to meet the parents, of course. But I'm not going to be as, like, strict, I feel like, when it comes, like, when they're in high school. And
oh, yeah, because then they're kind of their own person.
Yeah, like, there were
they
so
know
many
what they
times
want.
when we'd have sleepovers in high school and our, like, parents weren't even home or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were home alone or whatever. And it's, like, I don't know. It's, like, not as big of a deal, I feel like, as, like, children that are vulnerable. And
kids don't really know when something's wrong all the time.
That's
and
what
it's
I
hard
mean.
for them to speak up. And when you're a teenager, you know right from wrong. You know how to speak up and stand up for yourself.
Yes.
You're more open with your parents. Kids don't really know when something's wrong.
Small children are very easily manipulated.
Yeah, which is really terrifying.
Especially by adults that are, like, have, like, bad intentions.
Right.
Yeah, I can totally get on board with the no sleepovers with random people thing when they're little.
Yeah. We're going to get into more, like, embarrassing stories now. My very first sleepover was in grade 2. And it was one of those things where, like, the birthday girl invites the whole class. You know what I mean?
Right,
You
okay.
remember when you were a kid and, like, you kind of have to invite the whole class?
You have to include everyone, yeah, even the bully.
Yeah, I know. I was so nervous. It was like a Spice Girls sort of theme sleepover party, and mom and dad got me my sleeping bag, and they put together all my like little pajamas and everything, and I was so nervous. And I got there, and everyone was so hyper and running around with cupcakes, and I was so quiet and so scared. And I remember we all had to sleep in this big living room. They moved all the couches and stuff, so it was like literally like 20 of us in sleeping bags. And people there were really outgoing, and they loved to tell, like, scary stories. And right as we were going to sleep, a lot of the guys there were like, oh my gosh, like, I think a burglar's coming tonight.
There were boys.
Yeah, is that
sleepover?
weird? We were in grade 2. We were like, how old are you in grade 2? Like, you're like 8.
We never had boys at our sleepovers, ever.
Not at our house. Maybe that's weird. I don't know. Maybe that's another thing that's weird
so
about
weird.
It. But you're so
We
little.
had girls only all the time. For sleepovers?
Yeah. But I think the boys there were the girls' like cousins and stuff. Like, I feel like it was like sort of a family dynamic.
I thought you were saying like from the class.
No, I think she invited all the girls.
Right.
And I think she had like her cousins there.
Okay. I thought it was like the boys in the class too.
No. I don't think it might have been the case, but I don't think it was the boys in the class.
Okay, because that would not be okay.
It's hard to remember though, but I know there's boys there.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, I think a burglar's coming today. Like, I've been seeing, like, people looking in the windows of the house. And, like, all these boys were, like, riling up the girls. The girls were getting really scared. And then they'd be like, I just heard something at the window. Like, someone's trying to get in the window. This is my first sleepover. So I'm terrified. I'm sitting there shaking. I don't really know anyone. I know, like, one person who was my friend. And so I get so scared. People eventually fall asleep. There's a storm outside. I'm hearing, like, the things hitting the window and stuff. I decide I'm so scared. I don't have a phone at this age. I go up the stairs to the mother's room of the birthday girl. I don't know this woman. It's the first time I've seen her, okay? Her and her husband are sleeping in their room. I open the door, go inside, just like I would at, like, mom and dad's house. Do I have lipstick on my teeth still?
No.
Okay.
But I keep looking to check. If
Okay.
that's what you think
Thank you.
I'm doing.
Yeah. Tell me if there is.
I will.
So I go up to the side of the bed. And you know how awkward it is waking up people when they're sleeping? It's awkward enough when you go and wake up our parents. I know. I was unhinged. I went up to the mom's side of the bed. I'm like poking her shoulder. I'm like, hello, excuse me, Mrs. whatever her name was. I'm like, Mrs. And she goes, are you okay? Like, she like wakes up not expecting me to be there. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I am so scared. The boys keep saying that burglars are coming tonight. And she let me bring my sleeping bag up to her room to sleep beside her bed. But everyone made fun of me in the morning because the birthday girl found out, and she's like, wow, like, she can't even like stay in her own sleeping bag downstairs with the group, and it was so embarrassing. And I went home crying, and I told mom and dad, and they're like, "Oh, like I feel so bad." That's
really cute.
Yeah, she was nice about it. It was just so awkward and so embarrassing, because kids are so mean.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
You're like a little puppy that just wants to be, like, in the safe environment.
Like, I felt so safe in her room. Like, I felt so safe.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I think that's how Allie feels at night when she's, like, sleeping in our bed.
She feels safe.
She would never leave our bed until we leave the bed.
Yeah.
That's, like, it's reminding me of that.
But I was having issues even in grade 9 going to sleepovers.
Oh, my God.
I remember I went to my friend's house this one night. It was the first time I was sleeping over there. And so I was in grade 9 now. So, like, you're what, like 14 years old. I went there. We had a good night. I was going to go to sleep. And as soon as we, like, turned the lights off, my heart started beating so fast. I remember I was, like, counting how many beats there were. And it was, like, 140 beats per minute. And I'm like, why am I, like, I could not settle down. I get so anxious that I feel like I have to throw up. Okay? So I climb over her because her bed's, like, against the wall. So I was, like, on the inner part. So I have to, like, secretly try and get around her because I'm like, I'm going to throw up. I don't make it to the toilet.
Before you throw up?
But I'm still on the tile of the bathroom. So I throw up all over the bathroom tile and I don't get to the toilet on time. And this is just me throwing up because I'm nervous.
Like anxiety pukes?
I don't know what I thought in my brain. I started cleaning it up with tissue, and I put it in the garbage bin instead of the toilet, okay? Obviously, that's going to smell. Obviously, people are going to know. Like, why wouldn't I put it down the toilet after cleaning it up? Doesn't make any sense. I put it in the garbage, like the bathroom garbage. So then I go downstairs. This is like 2 a.m. I call mom. She's sleeping, and I'm in grade 9, okay? I'm like, Mom, I think I'm having a heart attack. My heart won't slow down. I don't know what to do. I can't breathe. I'm pacing, like, on her bottom floor. And they're, like, sleeping upstairs. Her dad and her are upstairs. And I'm like, I just threw up. You need to pick me up. And she's like, it's 2 a.m. You're going to be embarrassed if I come and get you now. Try and relax. So she talked me down, and it worked. I went back to sleep. I left the next morning. Totally forgot that I had, like, all the puke in the bathroom.
You didn't even tell anybody?
I didn't tell anybody. And my friend never brought it up, but I know it was so obvious because there were so many napkins that filled up the garbage. And I just know either her dad or she found it later on and just didn't say anything. Isn't that embarrassing? Like, what's wrong with me?
I mean, it's anxiety.
I know, but, like, girl, relax.
I know.
I'm so tense and, like, especially when it's time to go to bed, I can't.
If my kid was like that, I would be like, you're not going to sleepovers anymore. This is how you're going to be.
I think mom told me that. She's like, Jess, you can't keep putting yourself through this.
Yeah. I mean, grade 9. And
I think that was my last sleepover, like at someone else's house.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. You always had people sleeping at our house. You never really went wherever.
And I know friends, like, were upset about it and stuff, but, like, find friends that understand your anxiety. You know? Because that was just my boundary. Like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And people get upset because it feels like a one-sided friendship if they're always going to your house. But some people just can't do it. At my age now, I can, but back then it was a no. And then there's this other time where I had a friend over, and we were in the hot tub, which we always used to do when we had friends over. And we weren't drinking or anything. This was in, like, grade 11. And she stepped out of her hot tub and passed out on the like, porch.
How do I not know this story?
It was from heat, like, I guess.
Well, yeah, and, like, probably standing up too fast and all that.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh my gosh, stay here. I'm going to go tell my dad. She refused because she woke up right away. And she's like, I will get in so much trouble if I have to go home, and don't tell your parents, blah, blah, blah. So we, like, got her water. We were fanning her, and then she was fine, but it was so scary. But speaking about hot tubs, do you remember that time? Didn't I tell you? I was in the hot tub with my friends. And for the longest time, the house across from us, there was no one in there.
Don't even tell me.
Do you remember this?
This would happen to me. No, because this would happen to me.
The same person? Okay, tell it after, but we'd always have this, like, sort of abandoned house behind us, and we always thought that it was kind of like a drug house maybe or something, or, like, people were renting it out, and it was always, like, really sketchy people. And one time I had my friends over, and I think this was, like, grade 12, so we were a lot older, and we were all in the hot tub, like, having drinks, talking, we had music on, and it was really dark because it was, like, probably 1 a.m. And so we had little lights around the hot tub, but, like, if you look out in the backyard, it's all completely, like, pitch dark, right? So we're all sitting there talking, and suddenly we hear this little voice somewhere around us, and it goes, hello? Hello? Over here. And we're like looking around, and we're like, what? Because like all the friends were in the hot tub.
Yeah.
So we're like, who is talking to us right now? And I'm pretty sure it's like the dead of winter as well. So we're like squinting our eyes, like looking at the fence. And the fence that backs onto that creepy house, there is a head popping up over the fence. And you just see like a shadow. He's like, hello, over here, guys. Guys. And we're like, who is that? It's just a man staring. And so I guess because he didn't know if we can see him yet, he starts trying to climb over.
Oh my gosh.
So we see a leg like going over. And I go, excuse me, stop. What are you doing? Because I'm pretty sure I'm just with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you see me? And we're like, yeah, stop climbing over the fence. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, do you guys have any drugs? And we're like, no. He's like, you sure? And we're like, yeah. He's like, oh, man. And I was like, can you like,
didn't Dad come out?
yes. So I went and got Dad, and he was sleeping. And I was like, there is a man trying to climb over our fence, asking us for drugs. And so Dad came out and went and spoke to him.
Yeah.
Because he was still lingering around the fence, like looking through the little things. And Dad's like, can you like go? Like, these are young kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you shouldn't be asking them these things. Like, it was so creepy. Never saw him again. I don't even know what he looked like. He was a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw him out and about in the daytime. Never saw anyone in the house. It was so weird. So, like, did you talk to him, too?
No, that man, I had never seen or known that man since I knew that story. But, like, there was a time where, like, I think before then, when we were younger, that house, anytime we were in the hot tub, there would be, like, a person, probably a man, I don't know, like, in the top window, always staring and watching, always. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, but
That's what it was,
and
though.
the curtains would, like, open, and you'd, like, see, like...
It was really creepy and weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. That house is
super creepy.
So weird. I remember we, like, used to skip it at Halloween.
We
would not go.
But they wouldn't have their lights on. There would never be, like, a car in the driveway. Like, all the gardens were dead. Like, the grass was long, and it's like...
Something up with that
What
house.
is this house about? I think you have a couple, like, recent sleepover stories that you wanted to mention that are actually really... interesting and strange.
I don't know what it is with me, but I've had 2 friends within the last 3 or 4 years sleepwalk when they're not sleepwalkers, and they completely refuse to admit that this happened.
Yeah.
To this day, they are like, that wasn't me. But I'm like, yes, it was.
You were there. You saw it.
Like, literally, I would never lie.
Yeah.
And also, one of them, Dad was involved. So, like, the first one, which this friend, like, I have had sleepovers with many times, and this has never happened. But the one time we were at my house, I kept feeling her, like, get out of bed. And I thought that she was just going to the bathroom a lot.
Yeah.
But turns out in the morning, Dad, like, pulled me aside. And because, like, we were all having breakfast or whatever. And he was like, so, like, your friend came in our bedroom in the middle of the night and, like, ripped off the covers and, like, shoved Dad. And Dad thought it was me and thought that I wanted to get into bed with them, which is so weird because I never have done that since I was a kid. But he thought, like, I was sad and I wanted to, like, come into my parents' bed.
Aw, that's actually really
so
sweet,
he moved over and made room.
Aw.
And then she left the room abruptly. And Dad was kind of like, what the heck? He was sort of half asleep. But then she came in again later on in the night and did the same thing. And then this time Dad, like, got a good look and, like, saw that it was her. And then, so he just, like, informed me of that in the morning. And then I went to her and I told her.
And she was like, no.
She was like, what? That was not. And I was like, I felt you get up a few times in the night. And she had one of those, like, watches or whatever that, like, tells you, like, sleep patterns. And it, like, records the night of, like, when you got up and, like, when you were in REM sleep. You know those things?
And did it show it?
It showed that she was
up and about,
moving and, like, up and whatever. And she was like, oh, that's really weird. But even to this day, she's like, it wasn't me, it was you. And I'm like, girl, it was not me. Last Halloween, actually Halloween night.
Wow.
Yeah. We were away in Muskoka doing this, like, collab thing for this like resort or whatever. So we were like in the cabin in the woods. Once again, I have had sleepovers with this person before. This has never happened. And we were in separate rooms, and I heard her get up and stand in front of my door, which was closed, in like a whispered voice was like, what did she say?
This is so scary. It's like a horror movie.
She said something in like a she said something like, I need help, or can you help me, or something like that. It was something along the lines of, I need help. And then I heard her walk off. I was wide awake.
I bet.
Wide awake.
I bet you were.
And so I heard her walk off, and then I texted her, hey, is everything okay? Were you just like at my door? No response.
Because she's sleeping.
Mm-hmm. I'm still awake. This was at 12 midnight, okay?
Yeah.
It was like 3 a.m. and I heard her get up again. And she comes to my door, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm like not prepared. And she starts knocking on my door. I'm so scared at this point, but she's like, Mandii, are you up? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, and then I open the door because I'm so scared, and it's her, kind of like half asleep but like awake. And she was like, my neck hurts so bad, like I need an Advil. And I was like, okay, like I have an Advil, and I have like my heating pad because I take it everywhere. Yeah. I didn't have the heart to tell her what had happened before or ask her about it even, because I wasn't even sure really.
Yeah.
But this was like 3 hours later, and she was like, my neck, it hurts so bad. And I'm like, is this like normal for you? And she was like, no. So then the next morning I was like, hey, like, did you get up and like come to my door a couple hours before you like got up for the Advil? She was like, no. And I'm like, did you go to the bathroom? She was like, no. The first time I got up was when I asked you for an Advil. And I was like, okay. And the kink in your neck is like a new thing.
That's like possession.
She was like, that's what I said. I'm like, all I can envision is like something sitting on her shoulders and like steering her head.
Ew.
That's what I envisioned.
That is so creepy.
Because that had happened, and then she has this neck pain all of a sudden, which she never had before. And then she told me on the way home, she was like, you know, because she's so logical, black and white, not religious, not spiritual, nothing.
Yeah.
This was the first time that she was actually affected, and it seemed, and she was like, you know, I'm probably gonna go talk to someone because I feel like I've been like experiencing things lately and
lost time,
like seeing things, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks go by, and I bring it up again, and she's like, oh yeah, that didn't happen, like that, you're making that up, or it was a ghost and it wasn't me, like. And I was like, it was you, girl. She won't accept it. But anyway, I don't lie about this stuff. So if the two of you are watching that this is about, because I know you know who you are if you hear this, they're still like my best friends in life.
Yeah.
It happened. And I don't care like if you don't want to accept it or not, it happened. And I would not lie. And it was no ghost.
Sleepwalking is so scary. When I first started dating Ty, I remember the first thing he told me, he's like, if I ever stay over or something, just so you know, like, I'm known to sleepwalk, and if you see me standing in the corner of the room looking at you, I'm asleep.
Ew.
And I'm like, what are you, Edward? Like, Edward Cullen?
Edward. That's not what my mind went to, but.
And so, like, that never happened. Like, he never was standing in the room in the middle of the night. But the first time he ever was sleepwalking, I think it was like a year into me being with him. It was at our old house. And we had our bedroom, and if you open the door, it was right by the banister with where the staircase was. And so there was this one night where he just sat right up in bed. He reached over without even looking to grab his phone. He stood up, opened the door of our bedroom, walked out, and I could see the hallway out there. He balances his phone on the banister ledge. And I'm like watching, and I'm thinking, what is he doing now?
You followed him?
No, I was watching because I could just sit in bed and like watch what he was doing.
Oh.
He's balancing his phone like on the banister. And like if he drops it, it goes all the way down to the first floor. So I'm like, why is he balancing? He balances it. It's perfectly balanced. Then he walks back in and just sits down and lies down in bed. And I was like, Ty? Doesn't answer, starts snoring. So in the morning, he's like, where's my phone? Where the heck is my phone? And I'm like, you got up in the middle of the night and balanced it on the banister. And he's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, open the door and go see. His phone was still there. And he's like, I didn't do that. I'm like, I watched you do that. I don't know what the purpose was, But I saw it happen. He's like, oh, yeah, I guess I was sleepwalking. The only other time, and I told you this recently, I think it was like a year ago, he sat up in bed, and I wake up when he moves because he's a big guy, so the whole bed moves.
I think this is the scary.
He gets on his, like, knees on the bed and reaches his arms up to the ceiling.
Like he's worshiping something.
Yeah. And he's just, like, looking up as he's doing it, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like that for, like, 30 seconds.
Didn't you say he was, like, mumbling, too?
He was saying something I couldn't understand. He was, like, moving his mouth. That's probably mom and dad coming to the store. We just heard the alarm
I was going to say, was he speaking in Latin?
He was mumbling. And
I was like...
ancient
Latin?
I was like, Ty, what are you doing? Like, after 30 seconds, because I'm just trying to process what's going on. Like, am I dreaming right now? I'm like, Ty. He keeps mumbling, sits back down, lies back down in bed. Ask him the next day, and he's like, I didn't do that. I'm like, yes, you did, and it was terrifying. Are you okay? So...
Like, if you told me that I had done something and you swore to me.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so hard for me to conceptualize doing something without knowing I'm doing it, but I would not... Like, I would trust you.
Yeah, I would definitely trust you 100% if you told me I did something.
I would be shook, but I believe you.
Yeah.
Why would you lie?
But the worst thing is, like, being scared of yourself.
I know.
You know?
I know. Oh, man. Have you ever watched The Ritual on Netflix?
Yeah. That reminds me of, like, what Ty just did. Because weren't they, like, on their knees, like...
The one guy, they were in that, like...
The attic or whatever, and he was up there, and there was that, like, straw
And he was,
structure.
like, in a worshipping sort of a thing in front of it, but he was, like, asleep, not aware.
That's a good movie, though.
It's so good.
It's a good movie, but it's pretty dark.
It's good, though.
It is good. It's like a creature feature, which I love. Anyways, we're going to end this off here.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas. Kind of a dark note. But my parents just arrived, and we're doing Christmas mystery boxes.
Ooh.
Not too early. Right on time. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching again. Once again, you can listen to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you can find podcasts. We'll be there. Link down below. And we will see you in our next podcast.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.